Centauri, my dog. He's chilling with us today. I'm dedicating some time to answering some Patreon questions, and I just came across a really good one. It's a good example of a tough question, and I thought it would be really helpful to a lot of you.
Your feet are so big.
This is Clarissa.
Yes. She says, I'm a new Patreon member. This is my monthly question. I got a rescue dog a month ago. My dog is resource guarding me. Call it guarding behavior, call it jealousy, call it whatever. She sometimes gets really aggressive if people or dogs approach, and she goes nuts if I interact with other people or dogs for too long, or, and this is why I'm writing, if I get within 5 feet of my roommate's dog. If I leave the house, the two seem to avoid each other or otherwise manage. The house is safe and the dogs are in one piece when I get home. But when I get through the front door, they go crazy, and when they go crazy near the door, my dog starts to attack my roommate's dog, and they won't stop until I physically drag my dog to another room and close the door. I'm at my wit's end. She can't keep attacking my roommate's dog. It's becoming a daily thing where they fight with no blood drawn yet, thankfully, and fight and fight. My roommate's dog is afraid all the time and tries to hide in corners, but my dog won't let up. Yelling at her mid-fight in a loud, deep voice will make her run to me and look really sorry, but I really don't like doing that. And after about 5 seconds, my dog will be ready to fight again unless I distract her and manage to bring the energy way down quickly. I feel awful when I yell, but I can't have her hurting other dogs. It's the only way I've found to break them apart. A firm when it looks like she's going in for a squabble works sometimes, but not always. I've tried praising her for staying calm when the other dog is potentially visible, but thus far this does not appear to have any effect. The opportunity to praise her is also a slim window.
That's why praise and petting a dog as a reward or as a currency isn't usually as effective. It's not a good enough reward for a dog. It's important to have the proper perspective on something like this. It can take a lot of time to resolve these issues, so you need to keep your expectations realistic there. But there are some encouraging things here that I'll talk about in a moment. But number one, you have to take a step back on your training. And you need to do that primarily in one huge way, which is by regaining control of the environment. So your new dog hasn't yet earned the right to have access to the other dog and to the house. They need to be very reliable on leash before you can expect your dog to be reliable off leash. This is going to take a lot of work. There's a lot of management that you're going to have to do. So I'd recommend that you have your dog attached to you when you are in a position to directly supervise your dog, because number one, we have to prevent the outbursts from occurring. And that's how we do that, by controlling the environment. It requires significant effort sometimes when you have another dog, but I like that you have a crate. So if you have a crate in the main area, for example, you can put your dog in the crate for short periods of time when you're not in a position to really focus on training. Perhaps secure a bedroom or a bathroom where you can easily keep them separate when you're not in a position to really focus on them. That's number one. Take a step back, control the environment. Next, you need to focus on doing some counter conditioning exercises. Now, this is really simple. You want to start to create positive associations around the other dog. For example, when he's behaving well in the presence of the other dog, simple praise probably isn't good enough. You need to, have tiny bits of chicken so you can just reward, 2 and 3 times. Wait a second, you're being a good dog. Look at me. Yes. Stay. Good. Oh, you're doing great. Really interacting with your dog in the presence of your other dog and creating that real pleasurable association with being around the other dog. 1 or 2 sessions of this, not going to work. You have to really focus on doing this over the next, I'd say, weeks to months, could even be longer in some cases, depending how severe it is. But I don't think your case is that severe, because what's really encouraging to me, Clarissa, is you said once they start fighting, you can interrupt with a verbal correction and your dog will come back to you. And I like that you don't like doing that, because you're right, once it gets to that point, it's really too late to have any meaningful training. Our goal is to prevent the behavior from arising in the first place. Since we know the triggers, you identified them, you have a pretty good idea of when your dog is likely to act out unfavorably in this way. The fact that you're able to get verbal control of your dog once they're in a fight says that it's the level of the squabble probably isn't too intense. The other example you mentioned, when they're both at the door and then they tend to go at it, really does sound kind of like amygdala hijack, and when that's where a dog is in a state of mind where they're just in a rage and they're not going to listen to you. This happens with people too. If you've ever lost your temper before, or if you've ever seen someone with road rage, you can probably bet that they're not really in a good state of mind to be communicated with at that time. You sound extremely dedicated, and you just have to put in the time and do the right things with your time. And of course, exercise early in the day is likely to make this training go much easier, as when dogs get that energy out, they're so much better behaved. Excellent question. Thank you, Clarissa.